All right. Hello, folks. We are just going to let some folks find their way into the session. Thank you for joining. We'll give folks a couple more minutes or another minute or so to find their way in, and then we will get started. So we'll get started shortly here. All right, folks. We will go ahead and get started. And if folks join a little bit later, that is no problem. My name is Jake Goldblum. I am one of the associate directors for Global Network first year programs, and I support the London Scholars Program. So really excited to be here with folks today. I'm joined today by my colleagues from the Visa team, and I'll turn it over to them in a few minutes um, for them to introduce themselves. But I did want to start with just some quick housekeeping information. So I wanted to note that this session is being recorded. So if folks need to drop off, or if you know folks who weren't able to make it, no problem. The session's being recorded and will be shared out with folks after the session. It will also be on our YouTube channel for folks to refer back to as needed. So no worries if people can't make it, or if they need to drop off at some point, it'll be available on demand for viewing. Also wanted to note that today is an introductory webinar. So by no means is anybody behind in this process or anything like that. This is really just the start of the process. We of course want folks to look to engage in the CAS and Visa process early and often, and be engaged with our visa compliance team early on in the process, to just be able to continue to move forward and make progress in their applications. But certainly no worries. You're not alone in this process. The visa compliance team, who will share shortly, are here to support you. Our program's here to support you, and we're early on in the process, so no worries at all. And today we have folks from our visa compliance team who are here. They'll be presenting, but also available to answer some questions in our Q&A chat, which you'll kind of see at the bottom of your screen. You can submit questions there. But please note that we won't be able to answer very specific personal, case questions. These are more generalized questions that we'll be able to answer in the chat today. But we do want to refer folks to the visa compliance email if folks have questions, and or to the chat function in CAS Shield, which students have access to. So if students have questions at any given point about the process, they can reach out to a visa compliance officer via CAS Shield. So certainly if there are more specific questions, they can reach out there, and they can take a look at their visa guide in their application status portal. And with that, I wanted to turn it over to my visa compliance colleagues. So I'll pass it over to Migley to get us started with introductions, and then kick us off with the session.
Thank you so much, Jake. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the webinar today. My name is Migley, and I'm a Visa Compliance Officer here at NU London.
Hi, my name is Faye. I'm also a Visa Compliance Officer. I'll be going through the first half of the presentation, and then I'll pass it on to my colleague. So the presentation will be about the UK student visa and the CAS process for London Scholars student. So we'll go through the UK student visa and the CAS process for London Scholars student for this academic year. So the CAS and Visa process, so students will need to provide their CAS documents to NU London, and they will need to upload their documents on CAS Shield. Once we are satisfied and are happy with their documents, students will obtain a CAS statement from NU London. And once a student has obtained a CAS statement, the student is required to complete the online student visa application form via the UK government website and pay the application fee and the HS fee. Then the student is required to attend a biometric appointment and send their passport off for documents, send their passport and documents for processing. And at this stage, students will not have access to their passport. Once the student receives their passport, they will either have a entry clearance sticker or they may have a e-visa rather than a sticker. And then after that, the student is required to come to the UK and complete enrolment at NU London. However, the process for EU national is slightly different. So during the application process, EU national students will need to download the UK Immigration ID Check app and scan the passport and their face to complete ID verification, and they will receive their e-visa via email, and they will need to download their immigration status online. And then after that, they are required to arrive in the UK and complete enrolment at NU London. So how to obtain a CAS. So once a student has paid their deposit, they will obtain a CAS. In order to apply for their student visa, they need to have this CAS statement. So students are required to provide their documents via CAS Shield, and students will be sent an invitation to their Northeastern email address. So once the student has provided the required documents, which meets the UK visas and immigration requirement, the visa compliance team will issue the student a CAS statement and will provide the student the support throughout the visa process. You will need to have your CAS number when making your student visa application online by the government website. So all students cannot make their visa application without their CAS reference number. How CAS Shield, how to claim your account. So all students for CAS Shield, all invitation for CAS Shield are sent to their Northeastern EDU account. So to claim your Northeastern student account, students must click on the link that they have received. If they haven't received this link, they should contact IT. However, the link is valid for 60 days once they've received this link. So if students are having any sort of access issues or haven't received the link or any sort of issues, they should contact the IT service desk team. So the CAS statement will include personal information, program and qualifications. So it will include the student's name, nationality, date of birth, passport number, the title, level, date, dates of courses, the tuition fees for the courses and any tuition fees that they have already paid to NU, and the qualification that was used to assess that they can study this course. The qualification must be final and an official document, so it must be an official or final transcript or diploma. So the CAS statement will look like this. And as I said previously, it will include important information, and it's important that all students check that their CAS statement is correct and accurate. If there's any sort of errors, they should contact their assigned visa compliance officer. UK student visa process for London scholars, some important information about the CAS and student visa process. If a student holds a British or Irish valid passport, they do not need a visa. However, all other nationalities require UK student visa and must complete the CAS process with NU London. Visa compliance team does not issue your student visa. This lies with the UK government department. We issue issue the CAS statement, which is a mandatory document required for your student visa application. It's important that you begin the process as early as possible. This I would strongly recommend once you receive your CAS Shield invite that you start the process in order to get your student visa in time to start your course. It's also really important that you prioritize your student visa application over the summer. If you have any travel plans, you should ensure that you engage in the process as early as possible, and to make your travel plans around your student visa application. It's important to not travel to London until you have obtained your student visa. So please ensure that you have your student visa before coming to the UK. You will not be enrolled until you have your student visa and you have the correct type of visa. Some key dates and timeline. So between April to June, students are required to provide their CAS documents. So they're required to prepare their documents and upload this onto CAS Shield and attend any webinar and read any documents in terms of the CAS documentation. And from the 1st of July, this is the deadline to provide all CAS documents except for A-level students. They are exempt from this. So all students must provide their CAS document by the 1st of July. 1st of August is the deadline for CAS issuance. So this is the latest date we will issue a CAS to ensure that students do have enough time to apply for their student visa. So for A-level students, the CAS deposit deadline is the 18th of August, and the CAS issuance deadline is the 22nd of August. So the type of support that the visa team will be providing to students, each student will have a assigned visa compliance officer, which they can arrange meeting with their particular visa compliance officer. They will also have the option to message their visa compliance officer through CAS Shield. We will be doing webinars and Q&A session. There will be a visa document explain leaflet guide that will be going out to the students, and students can also access information through the visa webpage on our website. And students will also receive, once we are satisfied with the relevant documents and they receive their CAS, they will get a CAS guide as well as a visa application and biometric guide. Documents you will need to provide to NU London in order to obtain a CAS. So the types of documents that students need to provide in order to get a CAS through CAS Shield will be, they need to provide their passport, they need to provide their birth certificate if needed. They would also need to provide a under 18 consent letter from their parent or legal guardian. That's if they are under the age of 18 and that they need to travel to the UK to study. Students will also need to provide us with their qualification. English language, that's if is needed, financial documentation, and TB and translation of documents, that's also if needed, depending on where they'll be coming from as well. So passport, all students will need to provide their passport. The passport must be valid at the time of their planned entry into the UK. The UK does not require that a passport is valid for any particular period of time after arrival in the UK, but it must be valid when the student is making their student visa application and at the time of enrollment for at NU London. So we strongly advise you renew your passport if it's expiring soon. Qualifications, so students are required to provide us a copy of their final high school transcript or diploma certificate, and this must be the official final document. So provisional results or transcripts are not acceptable for the CAS and visa purposes. So the certificate or transcript must clearly show all of the following information. So it must state the student's full name, the title of award or program, the date of award or graduation date, and the name of the academic or awarding institution. So if students receive their transcript is electronic, they can ask their school to send us the verified copy of their transcript, and they can send this to the visa@nulondon.ac.uk. UKVI majority English speaking country. So if you hold a passport from one of the below countries, you do not need to provide a English language test as part of your student visa application. So if a student holds a US passport, they do not need to provide an English language test. English language tests. So the types of English language tests we accept as part of the UKVI majority English speaking country. So yeah, if you are not from a UKVI majority English speaking country, then you'll need to provide an official English language test qualification showing that you have the required level of English language to complete your program of study. The test scores must meet or be equivalent to a CEFR level B2. So the type of English language that UKVI accept is Duolingo, IELTS, TOEFL, A-level, and yeah, these are the list of English language that UKVI accepts. TB test. Some students are required to take a TB test as part of their student visa application. So it's important that students speak to the relevant assigned visa compliance officer. If you live in a specific country for more than 6 months and you are coming to the UK, you must provide a copy of your TB test. There is a list of countries on the UK government website. So if you have any questions about TB tests, please do speak to your assigned visa compliance officer. Please note that you will need to provide a TB test from a UKVI approved testing clinic. So documents that are not in entirely English, you will need to provide us a full official translation of these documents, and the translation must meet all of the following UKVI's requirement. It must be made by a professional translator or translation company, and it must also include confirmation from the translator that this document is accurate from the original document. It must also include that the date of the translation, include the translator's full name and signature, or the full name and signature of an authorized official of the translation company. And it must also include the translator or translations company contact details. So I'm now going to pass on to my colleague Migle, who will be going through the rest of the slides.
Thank you so much, Faye, for that deep dive. So I will be presenting the rest of the presentation, and we'll go straight ahead and do a financial documentation deep dive. So how much money would you need to show in terms of obtaining your CAS and student visa? So you must have enough money in your bank account to show that you can cover both the living expenses, which is also often referred to as maintenance, and your tuition fees for first year. So the full amount needs to be in your bank account for at least 28 consecutive days, and this amount cannot fall below the required amount even for just one day during this period. So if we have a breakdown of the calculations, we can see that this includes the mandated living costs, which is £13,347. Now, this is a UKVI mandated fee, so it is a fixed fee for all students studying in London, plus the first year of your tuition fee minus the deposit that you've already made, which would equal the required amount of money that you will need to show within the financial documents in order to obtain your CAS. So we've got the UKVI living costs, as I've covered. So this is a mandatory amount set by the UKVI for students studying in London, and the total is £13,347, plus the first year tuition fee, which should be also mentioned in your program enrollment letter. And any deposits or fees that have already been paid to Northeastern are deducted from this fee amount. If you wish to have a look at the currency and how much money that you currently hold versus how much money that you'd need in British pounds, please note that you should use the Oanda currency converter, as this is a UKVI approved currency converter. So let's have a look in this calculation in more depth. So how much money will I need to show? So you're going to have the mandated living cost, the maintenance cost, plus the first year of your tuition, minus the deposit you've paid, which is the required amount. So this is, please note, these are not official figures apart from £13,347. So if we look at an example, it would be the £13,347 plus the tuition fees in this example, which are 67,600, and then minus any deposits you've paid. This example doesn't have any, and that will equal approximately to £80,947. And by using the Oanda converter, it would equal to 102 and $400,000. Please do note that currency does fluctuate, so do try to account for that. So here are some of the many key financial documents that are accepted by UKVI in order to show proof of funds. So this can be shown through personal bank statement or a letter. We also have the Sallie Mae loan letter that is also acceptable, and any Northeastern grant or scholarship letters, but this can be only used for tuition fees and not for the mandated maintenance fee. So if we look at the bank statement in general, these are some of the requirements that the bank statement has to meet in order to be accepted and to meet the UKVI set requirements. So if you have a bank statement of a personal account, it should contain the following: your name as per your passport, or your parents' or legal guardian's name, and the account number, which must be fully visible, the print date and the period date, and the balance column, as well as the name and address and logo of the financial institution, and that you have held the required amount for a consecutive of 28-day period, as well as the opening and closing balance, and show that the closing balance is not older than 31 days from the date that you submit your online visa application. Now, if you are planning to use multiple bank accounts, please note that the statements must cover the same dates. And then let's have a look at the bank letters. So if you're using a letter from your bank, it must confirm the following within that letter in order to meet UKVI requirements. So it should confirm that funds have been held in a personal account for a consecutive of 28-day period, ending in no more than 31 days from the date of your application. The letter from the bank or the building society must also include, as the bank statement, your name as per your passport or your parents' or legal guardian's name, the account number and the date of the letter, the financial institution name and logo, and that you can access the funds at any time without any restrictions, and that there is enough money in the account to cover your course fees and living costs, which also referred to as the maintenance fee, and that the statement confirms that the funds have been held for 28 days. So please note that the funds must be available for immediate withdrawal without any condition. Formal bank statements or letters issued by the bank are acceptable, but you cannot use personal or business loans held in the name of your parents or legal guardians as evidence of money held by you. Business accounts and trust accounts are not acceptable for CAS and Visa purposes. And here is a graph that explains how the money held and the date of the closing balance coincide with the date of the visa application. So you have to make sure that the money is held for 28 consecutive days, and then you have to work backwards from the closing statement date, which is 31 days. And within that 31-day period, you must ensure that you make your online visa application within 31 days of your bank statement closing date. So now we will cover some extra documentation that you may need in terms of finances. So please note that if you are preparing to use your parents' or your legal guardian's bank account, and if you do not have the required funds in your own account, you can use your parents' or legal guardian's bank account, but you will be required to submit additional documentation, such as a confirmation letter. So you'll have to ask your parent or legal guardian to write a letter confirming that they have given you permission for you to use their money, and the letter must confirm the relationship between you and your parent or legal guardian, and that they have given their consent to you using their funds to study in the UK. Proof of relationship. So, if you are providing your parents or legal guardian's bank statement or financial statement, then you must provide evidence of your relationship with them. And this can be shown through the following options: an official birth certificate that shows the names of the applicant's parents, a certificate of adoption that shows the name of your applicant's parents or legal guardian, or a court or government issued document naming the applicant's legal guardian or establishing the sole responsibility of one parent. And now we will walk you through the steps in making your online student visa application. So this step will come after you have obtained your CAS. Applying from your home country or country of residence. So please note that you can apply for a student visa in your home country, but you cannot apply for a student visa in another country unless you have a residence permit or visa for that specific country. So if you're applying for your visa in a country other than the country of your nationality, you must also provide your visa which allows you to reside in that country. So for example, if you're applying for a student visa with your Brazilian passport in Canada, in addition to that Brazilian passport, you must also provide your Canadian residence visa. Now, step 1. How to read your CAS email. So you will receive your CAS statement in an email format that's sent from the visa compliance team titled Important Your CAS Statement. This email will include loads of information about what documents you should provide, so please read it carefully. In the attached email, you will also find the pack of the following documents: a CAS statement and a CAS guide, visa application guide. This you will need to use to complete your online visa application, a biometrics appointments guide, and you'll need to use this to book and complete your biometrics appointment. Please note that these guides are tailored where you're making your visa application from in the world. How to read your CAS statement. So you must check that all the information on your CAS statement is correct once you have received it from your visa compliance officer. If you believe that there is any error on your CAS statement, for example, an error in your date of birth, nationality, or tuition fees, you must contact your assigned visa compliance officer as soon as possible and wait for an updated CAS statement before proceeding with your visa application. You will need to use all the information in your CAS statement in your online application. We must be sure we have provided the UKVI with the same information that you will provide UKVI. Now, how to make your online visa application. Step 3. You will find a link to an online application in the visa application guide attached within the pack that we will send to you along with your CAS statement email. So please take your time going through the application form and ensure that you answer all the questions accurately. If you are unsure how to answer a question and the guide doesn't have an answer or help you, please contact your assigned VCO and save your online application, as then you will be able to return to that application at a later date. And you must use the information as stated in your CAS statement. So please copy and paste the information from your CAS statement onto your visa application where possible. Paying the application fee and the immigration health surcharge. So, the visa application fee and the immigration health surcharge, which is also often referred to as the IHS fee, are mandatory fees that are attached and are a part of your visa application. The application fee is to submit your visa application, and the immigration health surcharge is a fee which allows you to have access to the National Health Service for the duration of your visa. Even if you have insurance, you're required to pay the immigration health surcharge. So as of today, the visa application fee has increased to £522. plus the £776 immigration health surcharge, which I believe should total to £1,300 in total. But please note that does not include any priority service fee. Booking your appointments for non-EU nationals. So you will be prompted to choose a biometrics service provider. So please ensure to read the biometric guide before choosing your provider. So we have two services. The standard service, which ranges anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks on average, but please note that this can increase in peak time periods. And the priority service, which reduces the processing time usually to 5 working days, but that does come at an additional higher cost. Please read what is included in the different services available in your location and select the service most suitable for your circumstances. The service time provided is for your reference only, and the actual processing times may vary for each service. Please note that if you're planning a holiday before beginning your studies, please consider choosing a priority service as you will not have access to your passport until a decision has been made on your student visa application and your passport has been sent back to you. So we're going to look more into booking biometric appointments for non-EU nationals during this slide. So you must only provide the documents listed on your UKVI document checklist, which comes after you submit your visa application. But please ensure that you do not provide any additional documents which are not listed in this checklist. Your CAS statement email will tell you what documents you will likely be asked to provide. It's also very important that if there is anything on your checklist that was not listed, or if you are unsure of what to provide, please contact your visa compliance officer before submitting any documents. This checklist has only the passport listed as the required document. That means that the applicant should only submit their passport with the application in this specific example. Now, attending your biometrics appointment, what should you expect? So your biometrics service provider will send you information regarding your appointment. So please ensure to read your instructions very carefully and make sure you prepare everything you need for your appointment. And I also would like to note to please ensure to keep your eye out on your email address in order to receive these emails on a timely basis. Ensure you are on time for your appointment and listen to the instructions carefully. You must ensure you listen to what will happen to your passport and other documents if required after the appointment has concluded. For most students applying in the US, you will need to mail your passport to the processing office with a UPS return label. Other students may be able to hand over their passport for processing at the appointment. It's also important to note and ensure that you do not leave your appointment without passport mailing instructions. If you do not mail your passport within the time frame provided, your application may be rejected. Now, step 4 is how to complete your biometrics appointment for EU nationals only. So students using an EU passport will usually be able to complete their biometrics using the UKVI app, as we covered in the CAS process within the first slide of this presentation. You will not need to attend a physical appointment if you have the ability to use the app, so please check the requirements in the Biometrics App Guide attached in your CAS statement email. If you cannot use the app, please contact us for further information on how to book an in-person biometrics appointment. And now we're going to have a look at updating CAS Shields. So please ensure to update your enrollment status when you have received your CAS and made your application. Please keep this section updated as you make your application and attend your biometrics appointment so that your VCO is up to date and can fully support you through the process, depending on what stage you are. Number 2 is to please ensure to update your pre-departure and travel section when you've received your e-visa or your entry clearance email. Please upload your flight itinerary when you have booked your flight to the UK so that we can keep a track of when you are arriving. And step 7 is on receiving your UK student visa decision. So if you mailed your passport, you can track its return with your shipping provider. If you had the option to hand your passport at a biometrics appointment, you will receive a notification when it is ready for collection. You will receive an email entry clearance which confirms your visa application. Please see the example here. Please forward this email immediately to the visa compliance team once you received it so that we can review it and ensure that it has the correct information. You'll be able to see your valid from date, which is the date you are allowed to travel to the UK from. Please ensure to not enter the UK before your visa is valid. Otherwise, you will be required to leave the UK and re-enter on the correct permission. Now, accessing your e-visa. Since the switch has been made from UKVI from physical visas to e-visas, you can now access your e-visa by creating a UKVI account. To view and prove your immigration status, you will have to log into your UKVI account and generate a share code, which will be valid for 30 days. Now, your e-visa is linked to your passport that you use to apply for your CAS and student visa. And the share code allows others to check your right to study, work, and rent in the UK. You will need to provide your share code to the visa compliance team before enrollment so that our team can verify your e-visa online and ensure that all the information is accurate and correct. So this is an example of how your e-visa would look like. So your e-visa should contain the following information, which is your full name, your date of birth, your immigration status, which should read as student, the validity date, so validity from to, and a summary of your rights under the immigration status, which you can see here below. And once you've obtained that, now you're ready to travel to the UK to begin your course. And thank you so much for listening. And I guess I'll open the floor to any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Migle and Faye. Great work. And I know that the team has been also answering some questions on the back end as well. So thank you for getting to those. I did want to make a note that, of course, this is just an introduction to the process, and we will have other opportunities to ask questions in upcoming visa Q&A sessions that will also be webinars. So students can find that information and sign up for those in their application status check portal. So they should take a look there if they're interested in asking any additional questions. And again, very specific questions about financial documentation, things like that, should be discussed with a visa compliance officer through CAS Shield and through the visa compliance email. But Migle and Faye, just wanted to open it up to you now that we finished up the session. We've been answering a bunch of questions here, but I wanted to open it up to you to see if there's anything that you've noticed in the Q&A box that you would like to respond to, or if there's any other pieces of information that you would like to share with folks while we're still on the call. We can go ahead and take a look here. All right. Just taking a look here at some of the questions that we have. And I know that that Miguel, you just kind of went over the timeline for making an application, but the question is, how long does the visa application process usually take? So if you're able to just kind of highlight what that timeline usually looks like, I know that it varies and can vary, but just wanted to see if you had any notes about that process.
Thank you. Yeah, so it really does depend on the service that you opt for, as we covered in the previous slides. But from when the student receives their CAS, ideally you can start making that application within the same day, because you will have the CAS number. And then once you pay the IHS and the visa application fees, you will then be able to choose whether you wish to use the standard service, which, as we covered after your biometrics appointment, can take up to 3 to 4 weeks to be processed. Or if you choose priority, it will be 5 working days, usually is 5 working days after your biometrics appointment has concluded for UKVI to make a decision on the visa.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let's see here. Just looking through um, some of the additional questions we have here. Looks like we have gotten to most things. And if your question was not answered today, no problem. There's still, again, plenty of time to connect with the visa compliance team over the course of the summer. And there's other opportunities to connect in webinar sessions. But Migle Faye, any other thoughts or notes that you want to share with the audience before we wrap up?
I think maybe one thing to know, if you are a dual national and you hold two passports, please feel free to reach out to the visa compliance team, as then we will be able to provide you with the detailed information on which passport, what kind of process would fall under that versus the other passport that you hold. If you're struggling to make a decision right now, and if that is what you're kind of waiting on to begin your CAS journey.
All right, fantastic. Okay, well, thank you folks for joining us. Migle Faye, thank you so much for giving us a deep dive here into the CAS and Visa process. This has been super helpful. And again, for folks, this session is being recorded and will be available to be viewed after the session. So again, please don't feel like you have to know everything right now. You certainly have support throughout the process. And yeah, we're happy that folks were able to join us today. And if you weren't, no problem. Just please take a look at this recording and be in touch with the visa compliance team throughout the course of the summer. But with that, thank you all so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.